LA is upsizing. Being the world's biggest movie town is not enough. The City of Angels has spent the last 9 years becoming the home of electronic entertainment by being home to E3. E3 2003 was the biggest yet. From the big guys jumping out of Black Hawks, to the big names pushing their new titles. Bigger and maybe better, with 1,350 products going on show for the first time. Hardware was so last year. In 2003, software was king. But it was also the year of the sequel. And a year in which Hollywood came to Gainesville like never before. Welcome to the Edge E3 experience. From E303, we'll be bringing you the games of the show, the titles that got our attention and deserve all of yours. Going to the movies E3 style, from the Terminator to the Matrix. And getting a move on, E3 gets mobile and mobile gets heated. Sony is #1 in the home console market, but just in case you missed that fact, the Japanese giant spent most of E3 rubbing it in. It started with its PowerPoint media presentation.
So, what are the next steps?
And carried on with its massive $1 million stand. The big announcement was also a big surprise. Ken Kutaragi, Sony's president and father of PlayStation, is about to become a father again. He claims the PlayStation Portable will be
the Walkman of the 21st century.
At the moment, there's nothing to see but this disc. But the announcement alone knocked back Nintendo's share price. All the same, Portable is new ground for Sony, so it will be the one with the catching up to do. And speaking of catching up, these new headsets for online gaming look quite a lot like Microsoft's Xbox Live system. But Sony was unashamedly bigger, from revealing an exclusive deal on 9 new EA titles to calling on a little help from Tiger Woods.
This is live. Tiger hit this shot.
So what about the games? Without doubt, the most original was EyeToy. It had people lining up to wave their limbs about. Jak 2 Renegade kept its stand busy.
Word is you're out to join the fight for the city.
Naughty Dog's follow-up to Jak and Daxter is expected out later this year.
Excuse me, sir. Don't you mean surrender or die?
Rise to Honor comes from Sony's own studios in the US. Its main selling point will be Jet Li, who was extensively motion captured for the game.
Let's get this mission done and get the hell out of here.
Siphon Filter, the Amiga strain, will be online with 4-player cooperative play.
Anybody's race, ladies and gentlemen.
And of course, there was Gran Turismo 4. Bigger, louder, lusher, and online. There were more than 1,300 new titles at E3 this year. We've sifted out what we think are the top 5 products at E3 2003. At number 5, a game that will cure you of the idea that RPGs are all hit points and hobbits. Sudeki from Climax takes the tried and tested RPG format and pumps it full of steroids. This game isn't standard sword and sorcery fare.
Sudeki's story is about 2 worlds, the light world and the dark world, which have been locked in a war for ages. Now you play as 4 heroes from the light world. As you play the game more and more, you find out that you, the people of light world, are the bad guys. And you are stealing the light from the dark world and the oppressing them. So it's a classic story of it isn't always the beautiful that's good automatically. Sudeki gameplay is really, really unique. We've got really 2 levels of gameplay. We've got real-time gameplay, where everything you do happens in real time, and then whenever you open a menu, the game slows down to this cool bullet time. So you don't pause the game when you're choosing to use items, use spells and skills. Instead,
Turning up its nose at turn-based combat has helped create faster and more immersive battles, better suited to console gaming.
I mean, Microsoft said at the outset what they wanted to do was Final Fantasy real time, and they look pretty much to have achieved it, to me, which is great.
At number 4 in our chart comes a gaming gadget which has its eye on you. The USB webcam EyeToy is an inventive peripheral for the PS2. The EyeToy technology is a result of a research project carried out by Sony's American division.
I think EyeToy is great. I mean, it really shows the innovation of where this industry is going in the future. The fact that it's only $40 in the US is really cheap, and I think the games are fun. I mean, I played like a punching game. You sort of like punch a guy, and it's. I think it's great. I mean, it's one of those things that I think might be a little gimmicky. I mean, I don't think you'll be playing it for years and years, but for $40, I mean, if you can have a couple weekends of fun with your friends, I think it's it's a great toy.
Third-party developers are yet to start creating games for Sony's EyeToy, but the unit is packaged with 12 titles.
There's a lot of variety. There's a kung fu fighting game. There's a window washing game. There's a rhythmic game. But as far as future titles, this does have a lot of long-term potential.
The downside is it may do as much for your credibility as karaoke. But if sweating doesn't sell it for you, Sony is suggesting there are a couple of other applications for the EyeToy technology, including video conferencing and virtual pets. Hollywood, Los Angeles, California. Yet another red carpet in Tinseltown, but this is not a celebration of the movies. It's E3 week. Atari are the hosts, and this is the launch of Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines, the video game.
This is Terminator, man. The great thing about video games now is they become an extension of the storytelling experience.
You're into the movies, you're into games, you're into comic books. Yeah. That's the same mind. So I'm a game lover. I'm excited about it.
This is the future, my friend. This is where it's going.
It's down.
The Terminator is proof that movies and games are now integrated like never before. And Hollywood is all too happy to embrace a $25 billion game industry to expand its franchises.
I think that the video game adds a lot to the mythology of the Terminator. Because now you can not only just watch the movie, but you actually can, participate.
If you play the game, it makes you more interested in seeing the movie. And if you see the movie, it makes the game a much richer experience to play.
These might be new ideas to some of Hollywood's A-list, but at E3 2003, the Terminator game was just the beginning.
What is thy bidding, my master?
Star Wars, James Bond, Lord of the Rings, and Spy Kids, to name a few.
But I need to save Carmen. I like being in the video games, I like being toys, I like being in the movies. It's all fun.
What's great about the video game is I can't kill Daryl in real life, but in the video game, I can.
There was also the resurrection of old classics like Tron, The Italian Job, and The Seventh Samurai. Games and movies have been feeding off each other for years with mixed results. The change now is in the quality of the licensed games.
Regarding games and movies, I mean, we've always had kind of a bumpy relationship with Hollywood. We had that whole Sillywood merging that was supposed to happen like 5 or 10 years ago. And I mean, now we're at the point where some cool stuff's starting to happen.
Now what's happening is there's real collaboration between Hollywood and the game industry. So it used to be that game makers would just get a movie license and all they could do is really just put the movie name on a box of just some average game. But now, I mean, you're having directors like the Wachowski brothers with The Matrix or Peter Jackson with Lord of the Rings actually say, we want to partner with these game companies and actually, create incredible experiences that sort of add to the fiction of our movies.
Damn, not who I was hoping for.
Of all the film-to-game experiences on show at E3, none could match the hype of Enter the Matrix. And no one has done integration like the Wachowski brothers.
The Wachowskis had a piece of story to tell that they didn't really have time for in a 2-hour movie, where they would have told it if they had a 3-hour movie, and we get to do it in the video game.
They wanted to make the video game directly related to the movie. Enter the Matrix is written by the boys, directed by the boys, cut by the boys, so they're actually directly involved in the making of the video game, which was their idea from the beginning, which has never been done before.
That meant that all the same equipment was used, the same film stock, with the same actors, all the same crew. There were hundreds of people on this set, and they're working on a video game. It's going to raise the bar for what people understand to be a fight game in the same way that the Matrix film raised the bar in terms of what people saw as a fight sequence.
Enter the Matrix is already a million-unit seller. But what are the consequences of marrying celluloid with polygons?
I hope we don't get to a point where studios go, you know what, let's not make that great script because it doesn't make for a good game. My feeling is if there's a great script, they're so hard to find anyway that every studio in town would chase after it anyway, and then somebody would figure out how to make a good video game.
I'll be back.
If the game is engaging and challenging and compelling based on its gameplay, based on that feeling you have when you're playing it, that you're really in the zone and the clock goes by and you don't even notice, it doesn't matter what movie's attached to it. So movies are just one part of the equation in a good gameplay experience.
When you have companies spending the $10s to $30 million on these licenses and then actually taking the time to create a good game, it's something that's going to mean more mass market for the people out there, because there's people out there that like the Matrix but have never played a video game. They try the Matrix game, they like it, it's not just a total piece of crap like a lot of the old games were, and then it opens up a new person to come into this industry.
As E3 commits to LA until 2012, it seems that video games based on movies have finally come of age. The phrase all license and no gameplay no longer applies, and a host of games in this genre can now claim to provide high-quality game experiences in their own right. E3 2003, the video game industry changed.
For many years,
there was no doubt about what was Nintendo's killer app at this year's E3.
please welcome Mr. Shigeru Miyamoto.
It was 5'7" of gaming god. But most people saw Miyamoto-san's accessibility as a sign that Nintendo feels things aren't going well.
Time with Mr. Iwata, who's the new president of Nintendo, and there's no question that I think Nintendo understands that they've had trouble, and I think there was a mea culpa there.
Even the announcement of Metal Gear Solid, the Twin Snakes, didn't set the crowd alight.
Thank you, Snake.
But the cash-rich corporation is talking itself up.
Nintendo has never been more focused, never more determined, never more willing to take risks, and we will not retreat. Make no mistake, we are staying right in the middle of the home console battle.
And it says it's already got the GameCube successor in development. But for the current Cube, Nintendo's biggest announcement was a Miyamoto dream.
I'm a really big Pac-Man fan. And actually, I went and I made a Pac-Man game for GameCube.
The new Pac-Man will make the most of the connectivity between the GameCube and GBA. 3 GBA players can be Ghosts, and the GameCube player will be Pac-Man.
Ever since I first had the idea for GameCube, I thought it'd be really fun if people could play Pac-Man together. One on the TV and one on the Game Boy Advance.
Other games of note weren't all first-party work. Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg was one example. This effort from Sega is from Sonic creator Yuji Naka. The first-party titles getting the most comment included Mario Kart Double Dash, but there's disappointment that it won't be online.